Nigerian youth are still basking in the euphoria of the recent lifting by President Muhammadu Buhari of the ban imposed sometime last year on microblogging platform Twitter, a ban that lasted for 222 days. Those who suffered economic losses as well as a result of that embargo appear to be particularly excited at the upturn in events. But with the 2023 elections just by the corner, there are those who say it's time for Nigerian youth to take their increasingly raucous engagement with the authorities of Twitter and into the polling booths in order to register greater impact on how Nigeria is to run. Well, joining us now for a discussion around the subject matter is Godbless Otubure, president of Ready to Lead Africa and coordinator of the hashtag Not Too Young to Run movement. Well, good morning, God bless, and thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be back with the Rice family. Happy New Year. So I'll just make it.
Yes.
Happy New Year to you too.
I just make a slide.
All right.
Thank you so much. I'll make a slight correction. I used to be the Lagos State coordinator, but I handed over at the end of last year. So former Lagos State coordinator is a better designation right now.
Right. Well, thanks for that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, as you heard in my introduction, the Nigerian youth are still basking in that euphoria of the recent lifting of President Muhammadu Buhari's ban on Twitter, which was imposed actually in June last year. Lasted for several months, and, many suffered economic losses as a result of that embargo. Now, what would you say the youth should do at this time that the Twitter ban has been lifted? What can they do with trying to get more involved in active politics?
I mean, if you look at the strategy that we've been implementing since 2016, is to actually increase the youth involvement in active politics and governance by organizing and not agonizing. I would have been at the studio in Abuja, but as I speak to you, I'm currently in Borno, where we had a conversation yesterday on the TEDx, conversation where I literally spelled the need for young people to get more involved in community organizing and getting involved in the process. And the way we get involved is from the ward levels of the political parties that are available right now. We're trying to ensure that we have more young people who are members of the executives at the ward level, because if we are practicing the kind of democracy that we have, most of the decisions that are made for who become what and who gets made from the ward level. So we're asking more people to join political parties, and we're seeing results. We're getting more people to register to vote. So we're taking on the process, the very hard task of getting people from their homes to do the online registration, to go and finish on the biometrics and have their PVC, and also ensure that we're engaging with them to continue the process of ensuring that they go to the polling booth on election day. So we've been on this conversation. 2019, we saw over 300 people elected across the country. After Convergence 1.0, that was done by Younger Africa. And the plan is to get more people to run for office at the state and the national assemblies, because that way we understand that we can start cracking in and chipping in. And by 2027, we probably might be talking about the first 35-year-old Nigerian president.
All right, God bless. I wonder why you will be thinking of a 25-year-old president in 2027.
No, I said 35.
35. Oh,
not 20.
Okay.
Yeah, 35.
Okay.
No, not 25.
Okay, that's a good one. I mean, that can fly, hopefully. Yeah. All right, but talk to us about the plans that you have. It's not just about getting people to be interested in joining political parties and in registering and getting their PVCs. The key thing for me is getting people to go out there and vote on election day. Because if you look at the statistics, the pattern has always been that hardly do we ever get up to 40% of registered voters, in all the, let's say, last 3 elections that we have had. The bulk of those who do not come out will probably be the youth, because they already constitute about 66% of the registered voter. So what are you doing to make sure that, yes, you may succeed in getting more people to register and possibly join political parties, but then what gets them out of the bed and out of Twitter and out of, cable TV on Saturday morning to go for election? That's one. And quickly, the other one will be, what's your assessment on ground in Borno State, where you are speaking to us from, in terms of the enthusiasm of people, especially the youth, given the perceived insecurity around their taxes? What are your key observations?
Look, I am absolutely thrilled. It's my first time in Borno, and I can tell you something. The northern youths so we have a broader strategy, and somehow in our war room, we say the northern youth is the missing puzzle. And I can tell you that from what I am seeing, the enthusiasm that these young Arewa youths are showing, I can tell you that in the next decade, we're going to have a conversation that a lot of us will go back and say, so this was possible. The northern youths today that I met, that I've been engaging with, are talking about robotics. They're talking about 3D printing. Yeah. They're talking about infrastructural development. They're talking about rebuilding and bouncing back from the pain that the insurgency and Boko Haram has inflicted. And I told them yesterday, and I said, look, for those who want to bring Borno and the country down, we will defeat them. And I can tell you that it's resonating with the average northerner. I'm talking about both men and women, young girls, young guys who came up to listen to talks, to contribute. I saw volunteers in ways I've never seen. The North is changing. And I'm saying this to the entire country. The North is changing, and we need to give the young people some time. They're dealing with deep cultural issues that we would need a lot of social engineering to take care of. So that is what. How do we get young people to come out on election day? The truth is this. Look, we are beginning to see the connection between the cost of rice and who becomes president, the cost of governance and who becomes a governor, the cost of building maternal health cares in your local communities and who become the local government chairman. So what we are now doing, what we're doing currently, is not just getting people to register. We're investing a lot in getting out the vote. So the getting out the vote strategy is where we talk to the soul of the average young man to say, look, if you don't want the bans on Twitter that you saw, then you've got to come out and vote. Because if you don't come out and vote, your life and everything that you want to aspire to become might just be destroyed. In fact, I can't share all our strategy on air because we know that there are a lot of people who are watching. But trust me, we're going to get a lot more young people to come out and vote because they can now see for themselves that it is no longer business as usual. What happens in your life, NSAS is a proof that, look, you can't sit back anymore and just say you're not voting. If you sit back, your destiny is going to be sitting back. So we just have a lot of anger right now in us, a lot of pain, a lot of passion, a lot of enthusiasm to engage the system. And trust me, I'm hoping that my generation and my demographics will not let Nigeria down come 2023.
Lovely. Thank you. God bless. I mean, just a few questions here. In your answer to Steve's question just then, you talked about how the North is changing. And I wonder if you can go into a bit more clarity for us. You said it's changing, but I want to find out changing from what to what. And then secondly, when you do look ahead to the 2023 elections, when it comes to ideology, and the youths that you've been speaking to, what is it that you're looking for? What is it that the candidate must show in order for you to feel as though this is the person for you? This is the person that will take the plight of the youth and actually do something about it?
So let's get the first question out. What have I seen that is giving me the optimism that the northern youths are changing? It's simply the fact that the northern youth that I met are the guys who are talking about 3D printing. I'm talking about guys in Borno. I'm talking about young people who understand that what is happening globally has impact on what they do locally. I'm talking about young people who are engaged in trying to solve local problems, going back to traditional medicines that they've known and connecting it with the science. I'm talking about young people who are looking at the fact that the girl child can no longer just be married off at a young age, but the young girl, the girl child has to be protected. I'm talking about a group of young people who said you cannot. And this is funny. This was why I took the decision and said the North is changing. I had a conversation with somebody who has a lot of following, and I said, look, the issue we've been discussing is about how do you destroy a particular substance, but you share from the revenue. And the guy said, look, I will not be one of those guys who will support you destroying alcohol, but then you share from the revenue. That is something we should take back to the National Assembly and have a conversation around it. And then I'm talking about some guys, I'm talking about a generation that is saying you cannot have the National Security Council made up of 11 people and 9 are from the North and 2 from the South. I do not think that represents the kind of country we want to build. I am from the North and I do not support it. And these guys are saying we are ready to go on TV, do programs so that we can heal this country. The fourth line from the Civil War, we can see that they are breaking and we want to fix it. These are the young people I've been engaging with. These are young people that are active on Twitter and they are there talking. And guess what? They made a commitment to me. We're going to get 5 new people to register for their PVC. As I speak to you, I gave the chat and I said we want to get 5 million new registrants, 5 million new registrants, 1 million young people, just get 5 people. That is what they said. By the time I was done with my speech, 2 people already had 2 people waiting. 6 people were already ready that they've called and said, look, I'm coming back home and you're going to register. I'm going to do everything for you. Those are the young people that I saw. So when I say the North is changing in terms of ideology, it's going to take some time. That's why I said, give us 10 years. 10 years, we're going to do a lot of social engineering. We're going to respect the culture. We're going to respect the practices of Islam, which I think I'm getting to understand better. So, and then they are also interested in learning about Christianity. That is the biggest religion in the South. The goal is for us to heal this country, bring it together, and build a country that works for everybody. So the second question, like you're asking, is what are we looking at in a candidate, right? Who should be the candidate? Look, a candidate that would lead Nigeria from where we are today. If you really want to ensure that you solve the problems of climate change, you solve the problem of inflation, you solve the problem of a divided country, you solve the problem of taking Nigeria to space maybe in the next 20 years, and we want to build our own cars and export across the continent and across the world. If you want to take advantage of the AFCFTA and improve our sport, the candidate is somebody who understands this. They understand the place of young people. We want a candidate who is not scared of young people. We want a candidate who would defend young people. And as I speak to you, a lot of conversations are going on, a lot of reaching out. People are reaching out to us. People are reaching out to me and my group. And we know something. We're going into 2023 with a lot of negotiation. We understand where we are. We are not disillusioned. We are not acting under any false pretense. We are not producing the next president to be a young person between the age of 25 and 40. We may not be able to do that. It's not because we cannot. It's just simply because we've analyzed the data and everything that goes with it. We're not in a hurry. So there are things we're looking at, and we are going into these conversations with a lot of asking.
Well, God bless. I like your enthusiasm about youth engagement. It's been a burning issue. That was why there was that not too young to run law of 2018. Despite that, Nigeria's political space is still overtly dominated by the older generation and godfathers who determine our political space. Now, what do you think will change this time around to encourage youth participation? And what should be the first line of action for the youth, really, to participate in active politics?
I think one thing that will change is the fact that we have now seen that politics dictates everything. The current administration, by virtue of probably not understanding a lot of things about tech, we can see what some of the policies that they've pursued and implemented. And because young people are the receiving end of those policy statements and actions, we can now see that you might be the best coder, the best software developer, you might create the biggest unicorn, and just one government decision takes you out of business. And the fact that we were all here and Twitter came to Nigeria, had our jollof rice, but went to Ghana to set up. It tells you that we now understand the importance of making sure that we just don't create businesses or become photographers or fashionistas or entertainers or skit makers, but we've got to get into politics so that we can protect all the emerging new businesses that are happening. We've seen some of the things that are happening to our skit makers, the busting of the knives, the use of security forces on people. Look, young people now know that it is no longer business as usual. Look, if you don't organize and come out and get out the vote and use your platform, you can, use your platform. If you belong to a political party, that's fine. If you don't, but you've got to use your platform to get people to come out. And that is what has happened in the US. The entertainers, the musicians, and everybody. When you look at what happened in the 2020 elections in the US, it was actually one of those things that the young people saw. They saw that, look, we need a government that will care about climate change, that will care about education. I mean, look at the issue of debt loans, college loans. You look at the issue of the decision of women over their bodies, and a lot of things. Because young people are the receiving end of everything. And now look at our debt burden. For every young man, woman watching me, we all now owe China some money. So as you are making money, please start saving, because maybe soon they'll tell us to come and start paying the money one after the other. So if you don't want to do that, you got to get out, get your PVC, vote, follow the results, and follow the promises. Because that's, and let me just say this, our generation is not the generation that just say, get your PVC and vote. No, we're saying get your PVC, vote, follow the result, and after that, whoever wins, we're going to follow the promises. And we will make it unbearable for you to just see governance as business as usual. No, that's not our generation. We're the coconut head generation.
All right, God bless. You mentioned about what we're owing China, but maybe we're not owing the United States of America. And part of what we wanted to discuss with you is to quickly, if you like, assess for us the first year of the Biden administration. We know that right from inception, there has been good news for Nigeria and for the Nigerian youth. 3 Nigerians serving in important positions in the Biden administration, as you know. But then what sort of foreign policy do you think that we can take away from that administration for the first 1 year? Blinken was here, but he saw that there is no anti-China sentiment, not in Nigeria, not in Senegal, not in the other country that he visited. The last time that Rex Tillerson was here, he practically got sacked while he was in Nigeria. So how will you assess the first year of Biden, and in particular, what his foreign policy has been to Nigeria and to Africa?
So when you look at I'm having this conversation because I was also part of the Joe Biden African diaspora team during the 2020 presidential elections.
Yeah, it all feels so long ago, doesn't it?
Yeah. So I remember this time last year, I was literally I was on inauguration day on Arise TV. I mean, that was like a couple of days ago, discussing the potential and the impact of the Biden administration on the Nigerian economy and the African continent as a whole. I'm a big believer in active democracy, especially constitutional democracy that guarantees freedom, innovation, and the participation of citizens. So my first point of interest is the fact that the United States will be a good partner for us to be able to develop that kind of environment. that created one of the greatest economies in world history. 1 year on, and Joe Biden has had a lot of challenges. Clearly, there's been a lot of fails. There's been a lot of promises that have not been kept. But on the part of Nigeria, we did see, of course, we saw the Treasury guy, we saw Akuna, and I know Commissioner Felix Obi, who works with the Prosper Africa team. We're still expecting a few more appointments of Nigerian Americans in the Biden administration that have not just materialized yet, but we're expecting that. But as a continent, when you look at what has happened, I know there was a particular area that we were not happy with the Biden administration on some areas, especially some decisions that they took just after Blinken came to Nigeria on a sudden topic. But generally, you look at the Biden administration and you say, he's faced a lot of, setback back home, which has also hampered the onward interest and policy direction that we are supposed to be benefiting. But what I can say is that maybe the next 1 year, when they've gotten some of the senators, some of the House members who are probably on a different pedestal right now to join with the president, we'll see more attention paid to African policy, because right now the domestic agenda in the U.S. is taking center stage. And of course, the foreign policy debacles that he's facing with Russia at the moment, and the resumption of missile testing by North Korea. Of course, the fallout from Afghanistan is also bad. But of course, when you look at it, by and large, the administration has had a lot of goods. And of course,
Fred, can you continue on your line of thought? I believe you were discussing Joe Biden's challenging year.
Yes. I'm sorry, I got an intrusion. So. Like I was saying, if you look at what the Biden administration has achieved, of course, you look at the Build Back Better now that he's saying he's going to break it up. You look at some of the progress that has been made with the infrastructure bill and the amount of jobs that has been created. No other administration in the history of America has created that amount of jobs. Of course, you have disaffection with a lot of people who feel like he's not as fiery as he should be. And then recently we've seen him try to be as fiery, and then that had a backlash as well. But generally towards Africa, I believe that we're going to see a stabilization of some of the plans towards Africa in his second year. I do think the Biden administration's foreign policy trust, which we supported towards Africa, was good. That's why some of us came onto the campaign and supported him and worked with him and his team, the African diaspora team. And I believe that we'll continue to hold the State Department and the Biden administration accountable to fulfilling some of those promises that has been made to Africa. Of course, AGOA, we're trying to see if we can renew that. And then we're trying to also see how we improve the Prosper Africa initiative and increase more U.S. company presence on the Nigerian space, and as well as the African continent, because then we know that when you partner with the U.S., there's a promotion of human rights and democracy, unlike what you have when we have other countries who just give African leaders money without any form of accountability to the people.
All right, God bless. It's been nice speaking with you. Those are very enlightening thoughts on the role of the youth in Nigerian politics, and of course, President Joe Biden's first year in office. We hope that his second year will be better, like the rest, as we hope, of his administration. Thank you, God bless. That's the president of the Ready to Run Africa